Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today we're diving into a fascinating source you brought us. It's a YouTube transcript.
That's right, from the channel Dato Ada, titled, it's quite a title.
It is. And our mission here is really to unpack this specific narrative, focus on its origin story for Songkran Day and these Nang Songkran figures, and pull out the most interesting bits from this version.
Yeah, this source gives us a mythological account. It's a story packed with, gods, human feelings, a child prodigy, riddles, the works, all leading up to certain Songkran traditions.
Okay, so let's jump in. The source says it starts way back, pre-Buddhist era. There's this rich couple, they have everything.
Everything except a child. And this wasn't just like a private sadness?
No. Apparently they faced actual ridicule for it, specifically from a poor man described as an alcoholic, who basically contrasted his own, many children with their wealth and childlessness.
And that mockery really hit home, didn't it? The source suggests it made them obsessive about having an heir.
Obsessive is the word.
Yeah.
They spent over 3 years doing nonstop ceremonies praying for a child. But nothing worked.
It really shows how deep that desire was, and maybe the social pressure too, right?
Yeah.
Even with all their money.
Definitely. So the story pinpoints a specific Songkran public holiday as the moment things change.
Right. They're desperate. They go with their servants to this big banyan tree down by the river.
And they do this ritual, washing rice 7 times, cooking it, and offering it up.
Offering it to the Ruka deity, the spirit or god living in that specific tree.
And here's where the divine steps in properly. The Ruka god feels sorry for them.
Yeah, pities them. So he ascends to heaven, meets Lord Indra, a major figure, and asks him directly.
Asks for a meritorious son for this couple.
And Lord Indra, showing mercy, grants the request. Lo and behold, Mrs. Sethi gets pregnant.
And gives birth to a son, Tamaban Kumar, described as divine.
You can just imagine their joy, right? After all that waiting and ridicule.
Absolutely. And to thank the Ruka deity, they build this amazing 7-story castle dedicated to the banyan tree. Huge celebration.
They really spared no expense raising him either. Private castle, the best care, education.
And he turns out to be, exceptional. By just 7 years old, the source says he'd mastered the Triveda.
Which are, ancient sacred texts or knowledge systems. Hugely impressive for a 7-year-old.
And even more intriguing, he could understand and speak the language of birds.
That's quite a skill. And it seems like word of this prodigy spread.
It did. It reached Thauka who's described as the god overseeing the world.
And he's interested, curious about this kid, so he comes down to test him.
And the test is 3 riddles. They sound simple at first glance, maybe?
Deceptively simple, perhaps. The questions are, 1, where's a person's zodiac sign in the morning?
2, where is it at noon?
And 3, where is it in the evening?
But the stakes, they are unbelievably high.
Absolutely brutal. Tamaban Kumar has 7 days. If he gets them right, Thauka, the god, cuts off his own head.
But if the boy gets them wrong,
Tamaban Kumar loses his head. It's this incredibly high-stakes divine wager.
Talk about pressure. On a 7-year-old kid, no less.
He accepts the challenge, but, who wouldn't struggle? He thinks and thinks for days, can't figure it out.
By the 6th night, the source says he's terrified, stressed out. He actually decides to just run away.
Yeah, run into the forest and die there, rather than face the god and, the humiliation and death.
But then fate steps in. Or maybe just his special skill.
Right. He's resting under a palm tree, probably feeling hopeless, and he overhears birds talking.
2 eagles, specifically. And they're chatting about how easy food will be tomorrow because Thauka is going to chop off Tamaban Kumar's head. Grim lunchtime chat.
Yeah, really. But then the female eagle asks the male.
Asks him for the answers to the riddles. The very riddles Tamaban Kumar needs.
And the male eagle, maybe boasting a bit, just rattles them off.
So, morning.
In front or on the face, because people wash their face then. On the chest, because people sprinkle incense or perfume there.
And evening?
On the feet, because people wash their feet before sleeping.
Wow. They're so ordinary, practical, everyday things.
Exactly. After all that divine drama and high knowledge, the answers are rooted in simple human habits. Quite something, isn't it?
It really is. So Tamaban Kumar hears this, hope floods back, and he rushes back to his castle. Ready.
The next morning, Thauka shows up. Tamaban Kumar gives the answers.
The bird answers.
The bird answers, and they're correct.
So Thauka
yeah,
he lost. And he has to fulfill his end of the bargain, cut off his own head.
But this is where it gets even more cosmically dangerous. This isn't just any head.
No, the source is very clear. If that head touches the earth, global fire.
Thrown in the air, drought, suffering, no rain.
Thrown in the ocean, all the water just dries up, gone.
Total catastrophe, whichever way it goes. So to stop this disaster caused by his own defeat, he calls for backup.
His 7 daughters.
Exactly. He summons his 7 daughters specifically to handle the head problem. They need to catch it.
So he does it, cuts off his head. The source says the world literally shakes. There's this moment of chaos.
But the eldest daughter, Dungsadewi, she's ready with a golden tray. Catches the head immediately.
Phew. Okay, crisis averted.
Well, contained. But it needs ongoing management. She then carries the head in a procession around Mount Meru.
The cosmic mountain. For exactly 60 minutes.
Right. Then she takes it to be stored safely in Kantuli Cave at Kalkralis.
And there's more ritual involved there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Offerings, divine items.
The source even mentions Vesukarma, the divine architect figure, decorating the place with 7 special crystals called Bhagavati. It becomes this sacred gathering spot for angels.
Angels who wash a specific vine, a chamanat vine, in the Anodata pond and distribute it. Lots of detail there.
And this whole sequence, according to this source, is the origin of the Nang Songkran.
The 7 daughters. So from that point on, every year on Songkran Day,
one of the 7 daughters, taking turns, has to repeat that ritual.
They bring their father's head out of the cave.
Process it around Mount for Sumeru. Another name, perhaps, for Meru, for exactly 60 minutes, just like the first time.
And the source states this has to happen every year.
Explicitly. To keep the world peaceful, to maintain stability. If they stopped, well, the implication is disaster.
So the Nang Songkran figures in this telling aren't just beautiful symbols of the festival. They're cosmic guardians.
Divine daughters tasked with literally containing immense destructive power to prevent global catastrophe. It's quite a responsibility.
It completely reframes them, doesn't it? It links this human story of wanting a child to a battle of wits, to this incredibly potent divine object, the head, and finally to an annual ritual that's essential for keeping the world safe.
It's a complex, dramatic, and frankly, pretty startling origin story for this aspect of Songkran. Much more than just a beauty pageant figurehead.
Definitely gives the procession a whole new weight. When you think about that story, this incredibly powerful head needing constant, careful management by these daughters year after year, what does that make you think about? Maybe about how power itself, even divine power, is perceived, or perhaps the continuous effort that's needed, just to keep things in balance, to keep peace.
That's a really interesting question to ponder. The